So, it's that time again. Yeah, let's turn the lights on this time. Fuck it, right? All right. If you start staring at my titties through my shirt, tip me $5. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. So, I made a community post a day ago, this says, but it's technically a couple days ago because it's almost midnight when I'm filming this. And the comments started piling up, as I don't normally expect it to. It's one of those things. I expect the comments to pile up, and then they don't, and then I don't expect the comments to pile up, and then they do. But I asked you guys to send me what are some hard pills you feel that the Dead by Daylight community needs to swallow. Now, unfortunately, you guys, or some of you guys, do not know the difference between a hard pill to swallow and a hot take. But that's okay. I'm going to respond to all of these anyway, because I just love involving you guys in my content. I'm not like trying to like kiss your ass or anything here. I like legitimately, one of my favorite things about my channel is that it's more of an open conversation. I make my videos to start the conversation, and then I read and reply to comments when I can. And it's sometimes fun to watch you guys even discuss things among yourselves. It's very interesting, very cool. So that's what I like doing. So that's what I ended up doing. Now, as always, we're going to sort by newest first and then scroll all the way to the bottom and then work our way up. I'll try to avoid replies because this is mainly about between me and what was originally said. So if there are replies to something, I'm going to let you guys, you know, tussle that out in the comments. But I would rather just focus on this. So let's go ahead and jump in. We got quite a few to get through, so I don't want to waste too much of your time. And I don't usually edit these, so let's go. Okay. Dead by Daylight will never be perfectly balanced, and if it was, the game would become stagnant and less interesting. Correct. I fully agree with you on that one. This has always been a big thing of mine, and it's not just Dead by Daylight. It is legitimately like every single game in the world. Game balance in general relies on there being some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Some sort of imbalance between power levels, right? If everything is the same power level, I don't think that that would be very fun, because in order to bring everything to the same power level, everything has to do the same thing, right? What is currently strongest in the game is incredibly dependent upon the core gameplay, right? So that's why things like gen regression and gen speed perks are meta, because the entire game revolves around the generators and how fast they get done. And the strongest killers in the games are ones that can get from one end of the map to the other very quickly and apply quick pressure during chases. If you balance every single killer to be that type of killer, and you balance every single perk to be those types of perks, it just becomes less fun. So yeah. Some hot takes from me. Solo queue, Survivor is harder than Killer. I agree. I don't think anybody disagrees. That's probably the coldest take I've ever seen in my life. If anybody believes that Solo queue Survivor is easier than Killer, they're a Killer main who's never touched Survivor in their life, and they're wrong. Chucky has no counterplay, so in unfun to verse in most cases. I don't know too much about that one. I have not played against enough Chuckies and have not played enough Chucky to tell you. But I will, you know what? We're almost done with our week of Billy. So once I get Survivor to Iridescent 1, I will do a week of Chucky, and I'll get back to you on that. Killers have to play Toxic and Slug for Adepts and higher MMR. Yeah, if you want, it's not just higher MMR, it's in general. The hatch makes Killer Adepts really, really stupid. Now, I never slug for my Adepts because I just don't like doing that, but yeah, Adepts, pretty much after Adepts got reworked, you have to slug for Adepts. Being a meta slave is cringe. No, not really. There's nothing wrong with playing to win. I think that if you think playing to win is cringe, you're more cringe yourself. There's nothing wrong with being a meta slave. I think it's kind of a boring way to play if you never try to outstep your bounds and find different ways to win. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that inherently playing meta is cringe. No. Chucky's power is overrated and people should stop. I don't know much about Chucky. I'll let you guys debate about that. Okay, this one was actually kind of interesting. I read through this one because this is going to be a back and forth, and this might actually take a little bit of time. So, Adstarva is not the Jesus Christ of DBD, and taking his word as gospel and pushing the devs to make changes he wants has done nothing but hurt the game recently. So, I agree with the first part of this. I made an entire video of that. However, you take it way too far later on in this comment. So we're going to break this comment piecemeal by piecemeal. Taking his word as gospel and pushing the devs to make changes he wants has done nothing but hurt the game recently. What are you specifically referring to? I see people say this a lot, like a shitload. I see people say this shit all the time, but they never give me an example because Otz made an entire video based around the fact that he felt like the devs weren't listening to him. So I want to know personally what changes they have made. One, that is based on changes that Otz wants to happen, and two, how they have negatively impacted the game. You can't just say that and not give examples. It feels incredibly disingenuous, and I think that people really need to understand that when they do this. He's wrong a lot more than people act like. I don't think he's wrong a lot more than people act like. I do think he's wrong some of the times, or at the very least, I disagree with his opinions. The example that I gave in my Adstarva video a while back was his opinion on Gideon's meat plant, how he said it was actually killer-sided and not survivor-sided. I do think that was unapologetically wrong, but I fully believe that, if you're going to say this kind of stuff, you need to give examples. Not giving examples just feels disingenuous. It feels like you're saying things just to say it. And I know this all sounds weird coming from me because a lot of people took that video that I made back then as an attack on Otz when it was never an attack on Otz. People just don't know how to pay attention. But that's why I give examples of things I'm talking about. I don't like to just say statements like this, or this one, and just keep it that way. You need to give examples, or else it seems people aren't going to know what you're talking about. And maybe that's going on in the replies, but again, I'm not looking at replies. He's also disconnected from the majority of the player base. I don't really think that's true. I think when you're somebody as big as Otz, you hear quite a bit of opinions from people. I mean, you got to think, when Otz is streaming, he's got upwards of 10,000 people, sometimes more, in his chat. And a lot of people think he doesn't pay attention, but he definitely does. You can tell he does because every so often, spurs throughout gameplay and discussions and lobby wait times, he will respond to comments. And if you think that he doesn't see everything people say on things like Twitter and Reddit and his own comment section, I guarantee you he does. I think a lot of people have it in their heads that if content creators aren't responding to every single thing they see, then they're not reading everything they see. But take it from somebody who is a content creator. In my spare time, when I have a couple seconds, I'll go onto my YouTube studio on my phone and I'll just read through comments. I don't always respond to them. Sometimes, they're not worth responding to, or sometimes I have nothing more to say, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes I'll heart a couple of them depending on what they say, but I can guarantee you, Otz is not disconnected from the player base. He sees what the rest of us are saying. Whether or not he agrees with it is a different thing, but he does see what we're saying. And on top of that, if you watch his videos, a lot of his videos do have him talking about the greater community feedback on certain things. He is a competitive player. I think this is just factually wrong. I don't think he is. I really don't think he's a competitive player, unless I'm wrong. But I think Otz is just a content creator who has a lot of hours, who only sees things in a comp perspective. Again, I don't think this is true. With his 15K-ish hours, he isn't thinking about the fun of the game for Joe getting home from a 12-hour shift. He's thinking about how to abuse each and every single little thing to its limit. Again, this last part is just, I don't think this is correct at all. But importantly, though, very importantly, I think that this part right here, whenever people say stuff like this, whether it be about Otz, whether it be about other pros, I think this sentence right here is the antithesis of hypocrisy. Because why is the only people who are, what's the word I'm looking for, lambasted for their opinions of game balance always the people at the top, right? Because Joe, who's getting home from a 12-hour shift, is only thinking about his fun. He's not thinking about the fun of the high-tier content creators. Why the fuck should he? But why the fuck should the high-level pros and content creators think about his fun as well. I know that sounds weird, but here's the thing. I understand that games need a casual player base. No game will ever survive off of a purely competitive player base. They just can't. They cannot only survive off of the hardcore, play this game for a living, 16-hour day players. It's impossible. That's why a lot of these games do focus on casual player bases. But I don't think that it's fair to say, oh, Bobby Bill, who works on the construction site and comes home and plays for an hour or two every night, his opinion and his idea of fun is more valid than the person who literally plays this for a living. And I don't think the vice versa is true. I think that's one of the hardest things about being a game dev is trying to find the exact balance between the two. When you don't focus on the balance between the two of them, you end up alienating the wrong people over and over again. Because guess what? The people who do play this game for fucking 16 hours a day or whatever, those people are the ones spending shitloads of money on your game. Right? Those people are the ones that are buying all your overpriced cosmetics and every single battle pass and all of that. The casual Joe Blow, they may be buying one skin every other paycheck, if that. Probably fucking like once a month or something like that, once every 2 months, right? They might buy the battle pass, but they're not spending a lot of money on the game. The whales are, and the whales are the people who play the game very often. But on top of that, you need to understand that there's two different perspectives going on here. The casual player is only looking at what they find fun the vast majority of the time, while the competitive player is looking at actual game balance and what can actually be fun. The more that the competitive player looks at stuff and says, hey, this is unintuitive and uninteractive and uninteresting, the more that it actually might trickle down to affect other people a lot differently. And a lot of the times when you hear competitive players or you hear high-level players or whatever the case, let's actually go right back to Otz specifically. Otz is not arguing for us to just get a whole bunch of fucking gen progression and regression perks. He's one of the people on our side that this whole system probably needs to change a lot more. And he's also been a very big proponent for saying that the devs should not balance on spreadsheets, because balancing on spreadsheets is a very bad idea. He's a very big voice of that. So realistically, this entire comment just kind of reads like you have this what's the word here? Aversion to, not really Otz himself, but more of the way people tend to portray Otz, because most of this sounds like you just don't even watch his content or know what he's about. And I understand the very first part of your content. It is very frustrating. That was what the whole video was about that I made, was that it's very frustrating to feel like you can't have a conversation without Otz's name being brought up every 5 seconds, and how some people don't think for themselves. But to completely vilify and demonize Otz and say all of these, some of these factually incorrect things, is just ridiculous in my opinion. The game isn't boring or bad, you're just bored with it after playing too much and need to take some time off. I don't know if it's always necessarily taking time off, though that is a big part. As most people know, I took 3 months off recently. I also think that it's important to understand that it's sometimes just the way that you're playing. Like, if you play the exact same build and the exact same killer every single day, multiple times a day, you're going to get fucking bored, right? Even as much as I've been enjoying Billy, like I've been loving Billy, I need to occasionally switch a perk out here and there or change a play style, because it's not going to be fun all the time. The game isn't your job. You do not need to play it every day. Right, for the average person. Anyway, winning ain't everything, just have fun. Winning isn't everything, but I think that there's a complete disconnect between people saying that winning isn't everything, just have fun, and people that say that they hate losing. Most of the time when people say that they hate losing, they don't just hate losing 1 or 2 games or even multiple games in a row. They hate losing to complete and utter blowouts. It's not fun to go into a game, load in, and get fucking raffle stomped every game in and game out, right? That's why Survivor can sometimes be frustrating, because it can feel incredibly helpless, especially solo queue Survivor. But even on Killer, sometimes it feels like really, really bad to load into a game and have 3 gens pop before the first chase is even close to being done. It doesn't feel good. I think actually, honestly, the vast majority of people do not think that winning is everything, but I do believe that the vast majority of people believe that it's not fun to lose over and over again. And that's the thing, just have fun is great and all, but you know what's not fun? Doing a meme build every single game. That's not fun. That's not interesting, because you are getting that complete blowout. You don't get time to enjoy the meme build. So I think it's very important when you say these kind of things to keep that in mind. I don't care if you claim I don't care if you claim killers tunnel you out every game. That just tells me you suck and they can see it. Instead, make them suffer for chasing you down. Make every chase a nightmare for the killer. Abuse everything the game gives you. They'll stop tunneling if you don't go down without a fight. If they know what's good for them. This is actually I 100% agree. Most of the time, 99% of the time, when I see people complain about being tunneled out every game, and I go watch their gameplay, watch their streams, or sometimes people will like send me clips or whatever, I just see mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And this is actually a lesson I've had to learn myself recently, right? Like I'm not sitting here talking to you from like a fucking grandstanding, like, oh, I am better than all of you plebs. My Survivor MMR is at the fucking bottom of the gutter, bro. I suck as Survivor. And I've recently come to the understanding that the reason that Survivor is just so fucking annoying for me is because I'm bad at Survivor, so I need to get better. And as a killer main, a lot of times the tunneling that I end up doing is from survivors just not knowing what the fuck they're doing. Staying in the same area when they should be running, trying the body block with borrowed time, running directly into my face because they're not paying attention. It's just little things like that. Identify your weaknesses and improve upon them. Use perks to try to overcome things. Kindred is your best friend in solo queue. My best friend in solo queue is actually the tears I cry when my teammates aren't doing gens while I'm in a 5-minute chase, but that's neither here nor there. If you let your teammate die on first hook completely uncontested, you suck. And if I'm your killer, then I'm going to go the extra hard on you for being sucky. Don't be a coward. Do the trade if you're not on death hook. It nets you more points and improves the team's sustainability. I agree and disagree with this. I agree with this first part. Hella, I think you should always try. You suck. It's more as like you're kind of a jackass, more of anything. But I do as a killer. Like I had a game on Billy the other day where I hooked the dude and then I dashed off to literally the other side of the map. Looked for people for a little while. He entered stage 2. I dashed back over to his hook to see if someone was going to unhook him. Nobody was there, so I dashed back away to the other side of the map, and he ended up dying. Nobody unhooked him in fucking 2 minutes, and they had every opportunity in the world, and I went absolutely haywire. I made sure all fucking 3 of them died, because that was ridiculous. Stop running from the medic, or I'll break your heckin' knees. I wish I could fucking I'm gonna make a big neon sign of that, bro. That's the best one so far. Except the fact that MFT needed a nerf. Me, myself, a Survivor main already knew how strong MFT was when it first got announced. Playing killer and chasing someone who has 2K plus hours made it so miserable for me and other killer mains, specifically when they heal someone off the floor and have 10 seconds of endurance. The endurance part of MFT was never a problem. Actually, funnily enough, that's a part where Otts and I disagree. I never, ever thought the endurance part of MFT was a problem. It was always that motherfucking speed boost, that permanent speed boost that was the issue. And there have been, I'm not having this conversation again about it, but there was math done, right? The math done on the speed bonus from MFT showed how absolutely insane that was. Anyway, C tier and below killers need to be buffed and have all their personal clunk, unnecessary game clunk removed so they can stand a chance against experienced Swifts. I do not agree. Wait, actually, let's see here. What's this? Examples of clunk: Knight not being able to use his power near walls or drop pallets. No, that's fine. You need to be able to back up his Knight. I don't see why you should be able to summon your guard directly inside the wall. I see several ways that can go wrong. Legion not allowed to move his camera while vaulting. I think it's fine. Bubba not being able to look up or down while in a tantrum. Why would he need to? I mean, sure, you can give it to him, but I don't think I've ever been I don't think I've ever been in a situation during a Bubba tantrum. It was like, Hurl, I wonder what the sky looks like today. Oh, the grass texture is really interesting. Why is it popping in like that? I don't. Okay. Pig's Crouch not being instant. Pig's Crouch cannot be instant. It's too good of an ability. I know that sounds weird, especially with it having to be buffed. But I don't think that it being instant is something that needs to happen. Trapper bear traps literally floating in midair after that's just bugs. That's not. Yeah, you said buffs, bro. That's just a bug. Auto aim is definitely a problem, but it's not killer specific. Freddy not being able to teleport to finish gens or exit gates. I agree with this one because I think it is stupid to give a killer a power that can be turned off based on the state of the game. Being able to stun Demogorgon when he's mid-air during a shred without having the pallet broken. Depends. If I'm flying through the air and I go under the pallet and they drop it, it shouldn't break. That shouldn't happen. Let's be real with ourselves here. Undetectable should make you completely fucking quiet. There's no point in being undetectable if you're going to have loud-ass footsteps that give you away. I think more that killers should... I think more... It should be more that some killers that are loud, like Dredge, shouldn't be loud. There are some killers that just... Why are they loud? They shouldn't be loud. Why the fuck are survivors able to see the bubble prompt that reveals the general location where another survivor gets hooked while under blindness status effect? Because that's the point of the bubble prompt. Mangled hemorrhage should be one status effect. I don't disagree with that. Rule set number 2 should be base kit on pig. I agree with that. Trapper should have special pre-game lobby function that allows him to customize the color of his traps. Save the best for last should speed up the Mori animation. No, I don't. What? No. No. I don't know what the point of this would be. Be real with you. Anyway, back to your original thing. No, some killers just need to be bad. I think all killers should be at least C tier. I don't think there should be any D or F tier killers, but all killers, some killers just cannot, like, you just can't have some killers higher than C. That's just bad for game balance. Subscribe to Kaiser base YouTuber. Facts. Okay. Kaido says, playtime doesn't equal skill. In order to get better, you actually need to try to get better. Yes and no. Low playtime, like sub 500 hours, you're probably dog shit. I don't care how dedicated you are. I don't care how many guides you watch. There's just things about this game. This game is way too deep and complicated and complex for you to be good at 500 hours. Now, opposite coin, it is possible to be like 6,000 hours and still be dog shit. Because that's just a lack of dedication to actually practicing the game. Always take breaks from DBD. It really isn't a game you should be playing constantly. No worries, you won't miss much. If the game closes eventually, all your achievements, all characters, and all your content. So don't fall for any FOMO. You'll lose everything at some point anyway. This is assuming that the game's going to die. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Who knows? But realistically speaking, breaks are good. You should take breaks. I personally sometimes will take 2 to 3 days to not play it, and I never play it offline anymore. I just don't. I used to play it on stream, and then I'd play it offline, and then I'd play it on stream and play it offline. That's I don't play it offline anymore. Astral says, Mori's tunneling, camping, slugging, flashlights, etc. are not personal attacks. A killer isn't tunneling because you made him upset. He's most likely tunneling to secure a kill. True. True. 99.99999% of the time, they're not personal attacks. Especially Moris. I hate when people consider Moris to be toxic. That's such a fucking dumb stance to take. But sometimes the tunneling and the slugging is a result of them seeing a TTV in their lobby and wanting to put you in a TikTok compilation. And flashlights are people trying to win the game. But sometimes people spamming flashlight clicks are just them being obnoxious and trying to get a rise out of you. Let's be real with ourselves. Alright. Your MMR probably isn't as high as you think it is. Facts. In fact, I'd go so far as to say I don't think half the people who think they're in high MMR actually are. This is actually something that I was talking about in my ranked video, which I think is yesterday's video when you guys are seeing this. I'm recording this on the previous Friday. I think this is going up on a Sunday. It's either going up on a Sunday or Saturday. I can't remember. But this is being recorded on a Friday. So I actually talk a little bit about this in that video where people aren't as good at games as they think they are. And sometimes that's really disappointing to people. And so, yeah, I agree. On that same note, just because someone disagrees with you doesn't mean their MMR is low, even if it's easier to spot mistakes in other people's footage. Yes, kind of. A plain disagreement doesn't mean someone's MMR is low. But sometimes when you hear a take, you can tell that it's coming from the position of people who don't know what they're talking about. For example, on my How to Fix Freddy video a while back, I had somebody say that Freddy is OP and that they use Freddy all the time and he's super strong. Freddy is dog shit. Okay? I know that person has low MMR because there is no way in hell, without being in low MMR, that you would ever think Freddy is OP. DS needs to be base kit as a killer main. I know that it was really annoying to deal with sometimes, but they can make it adjustments and it would be genuinely better for the game because the anti-mechanics that exist now suck. I don't agree. I don't agree at all. DS is no, I don't agree. I think decisive strike needs to go back to 5 seconds. Anti-tunnel mechanics right now, instead of base kit borrowed time, you should just be invulnerable for that 10 seconds or 5 seconds, whichever one might be. You should just be straight up no collision. You can't get hit. You can't body block. None of that. That's how that should work, in my opinion. By the time a match loads in with the 3 to 4 toolboxes and a bad map offering, your group bot, you should know what's coming to you because y'all same day delivery ordered me and most killers feeding the survivor rulebook to you. Fair is a 2-lane road. I gotta read that again. Hold on. If I had you here, friend, I'd ask you to reword that because I have no idea what you're trying to say. We don't need eye for an eye nerfs for the game. I've seen both sides say something like, well, this perk got nerfed, so this other perk needs to get nerfed. No, that's not how balance works. Literally just happened with MFT. A bunch of survivors claim that because they nerfed Ermit, they needed to nerf. You are fucking, oh my god, you are on fucking point, bro. Just because something gets nerfed does not mean it needs an equal but opposite thing to be nerfed. 100% agree. Absolutely. To the fucking T. You are correct. If you're going to play low-tier killers, accept that you are most likely losing because of your choice, not because the survivors are sweating. Feel free to run who you want, but don't expect to win all the time when choosing low-tier killers. The same goes for bad perks. Yeah. Yeah. No. I'm down with that. If you're running fucking Trapper and you lose, it's probably because you're running Trapper. I'm going to be real with you. Trapper is just, he's too easily countered. He's not strong enough. He doesn't have a good map presence. His power is dog shit. His add-ons are the only good thing about him. Like, you just got to come to grips with the fact that you're playing a bad killer. And I mean, some people might be able to overcome that handicap and win a lot of times, but you should never assume that the survivors are sweating just because you're losing. If you're losing, even if you're on a high tier killer, bro, like I've seen some people play nurse and they're bad. They're really bad. They miss their blinks. They short blink when they should long blink. They long blink when they should short blink. They don't know how to control the character. They have bad mechanics. And then at the end of it, they're like, oh my god, the fucking survivors, they gen rushed me. The fucking sweat lords. No, bro, you're just ass. Cope. Holy shit, okay. Personally, I feel that the community has developed into constant negativity about everything. Sure, the game has its flaws, but whenever there's anything new, they'll always focus on everything negative, shut down any positive talk about it. I've talked about this in the past. I don't disagree. I'm actually writing a video now. It's actually going to be one of my very few scripted videos about the addiction to toxicity within the Dead by Daylight community. I'm hoping to have that done and recorded here in the next couple days, so it might be when you guys are watching this, it might be tomorrow's video, might be Tuesdays, I don't know yet, we'll find out. God forbid you point out a positive thing about anything that is new. For example, pointing out you might like an off meta perk or a weak killer. People will come out of the woodwork. Most of this shit toxic. Yeah, no, you're right about that. Maybe I'm just unlucky, but in most DBD spaces, been my experience. Of course, that's bad too now. I'm not asking people to declare Skull Merchant the best designed killer, but fuck, would it be so hard to just see some positive things for once? Even with the new killer, I see complaints about being horribly designed. If somebody thinks Unknown is horribly designed, they're just stupid. And to reply to the comment point I get, yes, you can ignore people. It doesn't affect gameplay. I always found this stupid. I always found that talking point bad. If somebody's saying some negative shit, it's they just people are allowed to be like, hey, that's negative and not cool. You're allowed to respond to negativity and call it out. I don't think that responding to negativity is inherently a bad thing. Saying we should just always ignore negative people is just not healthy for logical discussions. Being absurdly toxic because the killer couldn't even get a 1K. Yeah. Sore winners are 100% worse than sore losers. A sore loser, even though I think it's really cringe if you lose the game and you're like, right? I think that's fucking weird. But if you win the game and you're still fucking complaining or BMing or fucking being like, "Hey, you suck so much. You're a piece of shit." You are fucking 100 times worse, dude. Actually, 100 times worse. I don't like you. This one less about the entire community, but more about some of its creators. If you're one of those creators who make content like Toxic Swift gets salty, or Toxic Killer gets their comeuppance, or stuff like that, then I don't want to see you turn around and talk about how you hate how toxic the community can be. My brother in Christ, you are part of the problem. The best way to fight toxicity is to just ignore it, and making videos about these people doesn't do anything but cause ripples of negativity. If you really did care, then you would stop. I do not agree with this. This is a stance that my friend Brand takes. Yeah, if you make content showcasing toxicity in the form of these, Toxic Swift gets salty and Toxic Killer gets their comeuppance, I can kind of see where you're coming from, right? But the best way to fight toxicity is to just ignore it is just plain wrong. You do not fight negativity by pretending the negativity doesn't exist. I'm not going to get into like extremes here, but this applies to real life as well, right? If you've got, let's say you have a friend who has a tendency to cheat on their partners. I don't know why you would be friends with someone who has a tendency to cheat on their partners, but let's just say you do. If you don't call them out on that shit or warn future partners about their tendency to cheat, you are inherently part of the problem. I don't think there's anything wrong with calling out toxic behaviors and even making that your content focus, like what Aaron Duke used to do or what Spook and Jukes currently does, right? I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. I think that it's important to call out toxic behaviors and talk about them and explain why they're not okay. I just think that sometimes those type of content videos are a little bit too desperate to find toxic behaviors and will frame common in-game trash talk as toxicity when it's not. If you beat what's considered a meta killer who has meta perks, you shouldn't make fun of the killer. Aim toward, bro. This is this is such a common fucking problem, bro. People are so obsessed with flaunting their wins over people that they feel like are sweating or whatever, and it's so fucking weird, man. I scroll through Twitter all the time and I'm like, hey, this killer tunneled someone out and we still fucking won and we still beat their ass. Who cares? Who fucking cares? You're so weird. And half the time the names aren't even blocked out, and so that can end up leading to harassment toward people. And it's just such a fucking, just so weird. It goes back to that sore winner thing. Like, why are you so toxic about the fact you won? Like, Jesus Christ. People will generally, oh my Jesus, okay. People will generally react to you based on how you play. If you're a tryhard, a streamer, or play badly, you're going to get a lot of shit. If you play courteously and do well, you're not going to get much shit. I don't know about that one, brother. I don't know about that. I can't count the number of times where I was having like a nice killer streak where I was just being as kind as I possibly could, and people were still BMing and being sore winners and shit like that. Like, let's not fucking twist hairs. Let's also be completely honest with this. We'll go back to the. Hold on. This isn't unique to DBD. It's a normal part of life. Sorry, streamer Kaiser. Are you apologizing? That said, framing game mechanics, tunnel slug, camp, etc. as a moral issue has been harmful to the game overall. I fully agree. When behavior employers and official ask threads to say ass threads say things like tunnelers going to tunnel and there's no solution to DCers, we should silly reconsider the feedback we've given them, directly or otherwise. As an example, tunneling isn't bad because it's emotionally hurtful. It's bad because it leads to significantly less engaging gameplay and alternatives. This is true. This is true. I think that there's, and again, this is going to be part of my toxicity video that I'm working on, where people frame gameplay mechanics or gameplay playstyles as inherently toxic when they're strategies to win. You can think they're cringe, you can think they're frustrating, you can think they're unengaging, but I don't think that tunneling is inherently toxic. I don't think that camping is inherently toxic. I think it's annoying, I think it's frustrating, I think it's not fun, but I don't think it's inherently toxic. Now, back to what you set up here. People will generally react to you based on how you play. If you're a try-hard, a streamer, or play badly, you're going to get a lot of shit. The thing is that, yeah, just because that's how they're going to react to you, blah, 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 it doesn't mean we still can't call out when people are saying stupid shit. Just because I'm a streamer doesn't mean people are allowed to come into, or not allowed, that's not the right word, doesn't mean it's excusable for people to come into my chat and start being little dickheads, right? Just because you're tryharding doesn't mean it's acceptable for people to put you on blast because you dared to play the game to win. And just because you play bad, this is probably the most egregious of these three, just because you're playing badly doesn't mean people should be shitting all over you. Like, we should still be calling out these behaviors. This isn't a hard pill to swallow. This is just... I didn't mean to do that. Oh, fuck. Hold on. This isn't a hard pill to swallow. This seems like this is just excusing shitty behavior. And we really shouldn't be doing that. If you suck at playing Survivor... Why you called me out like that, man? Of course you'll have a bad time playing Survivor. You need to develop a skill set to actually loop the killer and not die in certain situations. This goes for any game, really. Once you understand the game to a mechanical level, it's super fun. Yes. Yes and no. Yeah, no, actually fully yes. If you suck, you're going to have a bad time. Chances are, you can have a good time if you're bad at Survivor, if you have friends to have fun with. But that's only going to last so long. Granted, this isn't the whole community, but a good number of people in the community do this, being openly phobic to race and identity. DBD is already a game filled with shockingly high amounts of LGBTQI people. Don't come over and bring that hate into the game. It's not funny or edgy. It just makes you look like an infant. I don't think this is a hard pill to swallow, a hot take, any of that. I think this is just generally accepted by most people, and the people who generally are phobic, racist, xenophobic, etc., are generally made fun of in this community. But of course, you have your outliers, and honestly, just we need to do our best to call out that kind of behavior. The only reason people miss old Dead Hard for the fact it was a press one button to fix my fuck up, since it gave distance and iframes. So for those who liked Dead Hard, why not, instead of finding the next perk that can fix your mistakes, work on yourself so you don't make the mistakes? I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I think old Dead Hard was a get out of jail free card, and it was kind of fucking stupid. I'd come up with something, but everything I can think of is probably something I do at least occasionally, and I'm definitely not the only one. Beautiful insight. Moving on. My hot take is this. For the people, Buckle Up is not overpowered like the community makes it out to be. It's just very annoying. What? I'm sorry, a free pickup where both the people get endurance so you can't re-down them again instantly while you're in your fucking weapon wipe animation isn't overpowered? Foot the poo can literally be countered by injuring... just injure everyone. Just injure everyone. Of course. Why didn't I think of that? Dude, what? What are you saying? Or waiting the 10 seconds like you would with BT if you tunnel. Just give them free distance. Just injure everyone and give them free... What are you saying? Yeah, but this is earned. This is earned. You have to down a survivor, bring them to a hook, bring them to a Scourge hook if you're running pain res, which isn't always available, and then you get the effects. That's earned. That is an earned combo, and that takes 3 perk slots. But this is not, for the people, buckle up isn't earned. You literally wait like you would if you were doing a flashlight save. The killer downs someone, you run over, you go boop, boop, both of you back up, and then you both get free distance. What? Look, the only change that needs to happen before the people buckle up, people have asked me to do a video on this. I'm going to be real with you. The only change that needs to happen to that combo is that buckle up does not give the person who does the pickup endurance. If you just change that fact, it's fine. Okay. Hard pill to swallow. How about Trickster? I've never found it very hard to swallow Trickster. Anyway, this is about flawed character design and how behavior... God damn, bro. And how behavior sucks at balancing their goddamn killer correctly. Ah! Nerd emoji. That is a whole pill no one likes to swallow other than... I don't think that Trickster's that bad. I think he's still B. I think he went from C to B tier, probably high B tier, but he still has a lot of weaknesses. He needs to be on a map that doesn't have a lot of cover or taller loops. If he ends up on that, then it's a lot harder for them. If they're short, tall loops, then he's fine, you know, like a little Z wall or something. But if he's if they're like fucking jungle gyms and 4 lanes, it could be really difficult for him to play around that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know. I figured when I came back, people were telling me Trickster was like this big, fucking huge problem. I figured it was going to be like a lot worse, honestly, and it just isn't. Here's a hot one. Begging for the killer to bid you goodbye at the exit gate when they lost. You have attachment, mommy, and daddy issues. I agree. I agree. And that's all of the stuff I have today. Thank you guys again, once again, for your submissions. And as always, if you missed out on this one, that's fine. You can always keep an eye out on my community post every so often, probably about once every couple of weeks. I'll post a prompt for you guys for me to respond to, and I just like doing that. Like I said in the beginning of this video, that's just fun. More fun for me. More fun that I enjoy. But... as always, this is not a video for me to just spout my opinions at you. This is a video for an open conversation. That's what this channel is all about. So leave your responses down below. If I answered your, if I responded to your stuff here, then leave your response down below. If you wanted to respond to something else that somebody said, leave your responses down below. And as always, a big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now for all of their additional support. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today and get perks like seeing videos early and discounts for merch, then please click that join button down below. Love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.